Welcome everyone to the webinar titled LinkedIn Power Play, Optimize Your Profile for Job Search Victory, hosted by Chemical Engineering Life and JobMink Consulting. My name is Humzaa Imtiaz and I shall be the host for the day. So thank you to all of you for signing up and now for joining in to listen to the webinar. And also a huge thank you to the JobMink team for providing the content for the webinar. So without any further ado, let's begin. The agenda for today's webinar is that we'll start off with the welcome introduction to the two organizations, and then we will jump directly into the importance of LinkedIn and why it's important for job searchers. And then we'll look into how you can create a powerful LinkedIn profile and leading up to how you can build and engage with your network and how to utilize the job search features provided by LinkedIn. But before we begin, who am I? Well, my name is Humzaa Imtiaz. I am a chemical engineer myself, and I also happen to be the founder of Chemical Engineering Life. And if you don't know what Chemical Engineering Life is, Chemical Engineering Life is an online platform aimed to be a common ground for all chemical engineers around the globe. The idea is that we would like to create a common platform where different chemical engineers around the world, from different countries, from different areas, can connect and share the knowledge so that they can help each other in making better decisions about their career, about their work, and about their research. And to do that, we actually have multiple initiatives to help them. The very first initiative that we have is that we have different talks with different chemical engineers where we try to talk to them about what chemical engineers do in the real world, what sort of opportunities there are in the industry, and we ask directly to the people that are working as chemical engineers. You can find the 35 interviews that we have conducted with different engineers on our website. At the same time, we also have a podcast called Decoding Chemical Engineering, for which we have done 11 episodes, and you can find them on our YouTube channel or on our website. At the same time, we also have different webinars, just like this one, with different professionals, let it be chemical engineers, recruiters, other engineering area professionals, and even other non-engineering professionals. The idea is to be able to provide the information and the knowledge which can help the young professionals make better decisions or just optimize their work life. And then we also have our online courses where we focus on both the hard skills and the soft skills for chemical engineers. We have courses focusing on techno-economic analysis, life cycle assessment, process design, and what more. At the same time, we also have a lot of soft skill courses where we try to focus on project management, job search, just like this one, and also Excel and so on. And then the initiative that we are the most proud of, that is our global mentorship program. It is a free biannual program in which we try to connect young professionals with industrial or research engineers so that they can ask the right questions to the right people. And like I said, it is a free program, and so far we have had more than 400 participants. So that's one initiative that we are very proud of at the organization. And then apart from these, we also have different articles that we publish on our website under the banner of Chemical Engineering Chronicles. So if you are a chemical engineer or you have an idea for an article, then feel free to get in touch and we would love to have that published on our website. Even today, you can go and you can read many of the other articles that we have published on the website on chemical engineering and the impact of chemical engineering on the society and the other emerging trends in chemical engineering and so on. Addition to that, we also have a video series on our YouTube channel where we try to bring out the entertaining and the interesting side of chemical engineering for both engineering people, for engineering professionals, and for non-engineering professionals. And finally, we have our online forum on our website where anyone can go in and raise their questions and have it answered by the other 900 members on the website. So these are all the initiatives that we have right now. So if you find any of them interesting, then feel free to go to our website and sign up and learn more about any of them. And then the next question that you might wondering where you can find us. Well, you can find us on YouTube, where we have more than 2,000 subscribers as of today. And like I said, in the channel, we upload different video series or webinars or podcasts and much more information which can help you as a chemical engineer. So, and we are on YouTube under the banner, under the name of Chemical Engineering Life. At the same time, you can also follow us on Instagram, where we have more than 2,000 followers. And once again, there we post different things about chemical engineering, the emerging trends in chemical engineering, different jokes about chemical engineering, and just to give you the lighter side of being an engineering student. And also, you can become a free member on our website and join the other 900 people that have already signed up and be active on the forum, on the courses, and all the webinars. And the benefit of being a member on the website is that whenever we have a new course or a new webinar or new initiative that get launched, you will be the first one to know. And it's a free membership, so you don't have to pay anything, and then you can easily sign up and reap all the benefits. And then finally, we are also available on LinkedIn, where we have more than 4,000 followers as of right now, and you can connect with our network. And also, you can also and through our LinkedIn profile, you can actually connect with many of the other engineering professionals in the field. So these are all the areas where you can connect with us. And on top of that, like I said, you can also visit our website, www.ChemEnggLife.com. If you may have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to us. And if you would like to learn more about the initiative, then you can do so on our website. And then we have the JobMink Consulting. And JobMink Consulting is a team of professionals who are, and then, like I said, so this webinar is hosted in partnership with the JobMink Consulting team. And JobMink Consulting is an organization that is there to help you in order to be better at job search. They are a bunch of professionals, consultants who have more than 60 years of combined industrial experience, and they are there to help you apply for jobs and optimize your job search and so on. And the multiple initiatives that they do is that they are there to help you with your resume. If you would like feedback on how to make your resume better and in order to land your next dream job, well, then they can actually help you do that. At the same time, if you are nervous about your interview, just like many of us, then they can actually help you with the interview prep by doing a mock interview, and you can be more confident for the real deal. And like I said, so if you would like to do a mock interview, you can also sign up and reach out to them, and they'll be more than happy to book you for a mock interview. And then if you're applying for jobs abroad as a student, actually for your universities or as a professional, then once again, the JobMink Consulting have consultants in different countries, and they are there to help you to make the best out of the job search. And yeah, so like I said, so if you are applying for university applications, then you can also do so by the help of JobMink consultants. And finally, they have also created some wonderful job hunt materials that you can use to optimize your job search and to actually bring structure in your job search, which would obviously help you get a better result in your process. So if you found any of it interesting, then feel free to get in touch with them at the email shown on the screen, and I'm sure they'll be more than happy to help you. So great. So that was all for the introduction. Now jumping into the actual webinar. For the very first thing we're going to look at is the importance of LinkedIn. Even today, a lot of people ask this question that why should they be active on LinkedIn, or what are the actual benefits of LinkedIn? So therefore, we're going to look at the importance of LinkedIn. And I must add that LinkedIn nowadays, in today's environment, in today's world that we're living in, LinkedIn is actually very, very important. So if you're not on LinkedIn, I strongly suggest that you do, because majority of the jobs and majority of the networking that is done today, that is done on LinkedIn. But having said that, the very first question that you must ask yourself is that why does LinkedIn matter? And obviously it does matter. It is the world's largest networking site with over 774 million users. And the best thing is that when you log into LinkedIn or when you make a profile, you have a direct access. You can easily connect with professionals across the fields, across different industries. You can connect with a chemical engineer in the pharma sector. You can connect with a chemical engineer in the oil and gas sector, in the fertilizer sector. The opportunity is endless. You will not be able to do that in any other platform in the world, but on LinkedIn you can do that. Now I don't want to sound like a salesman for LinkedIn, but it really helps you as a normal professional person being able to get in touch with different professionals. And at the same time, for me personally, I always make use of LinkedIn to see what other people have been up to. If I would like to work in the pharma sector, what different opportunities did people take? what sort of steps they took, what sort of courses they took, what sort of activities they're doing right now to optimize their their position. So in that regard, LinkedIn is a very good place to start. And then there is like in terms of statistics, in terms of job search, it's even better because approximately 87% of recruiters, they regularly use LinkedIn to find candidates. And additionally, 122 million people have received an interview through LinkedIn, with around 35 million people being hired by the person they connected on the site. Because nowadays, when everyone is on LinkedIn, then it makes a life a lot easier for the recruiters to be able to find the person, be able to validate them, and then be able to ask them for the job. So at the same time, even if you're not a recruiter, you are a normal person, like I said earlier, and you would like to learn and connect with different chemical engineers, and you would like to learn more about what chemical engineers are up to, what sort of skills are in demand nowadays, then LinkedIn is definitely the place to go. Uh, but having said that, you also have to be a bit careful because sometimes LinkedIn is, uh, I can go in and I can put anything on my profile, just like Facebook, just like Instagram. So you still have to be a bit careful about absorbing everything that you see on the site. So you still have to use a bit of common sense. You still have to use a little bit of, like you still have to be careful about that all the information that you're reading may or may not be true, obviously. But that's a risk that we have on all social media sites like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. So that's just a risk that we have to take. But other than that, the benefits does outweigh the risks on LinkedIn. And possibly you may hear many real life examples on LinkedIn that a recent graduate secured her first marketing job by networking with an alumni and joining the industry speaking LinkedIn groups. You know, uh, Normally it would be very difficult for you to connect with an alumni of your university if your university doesn't have those groups, but LinkedIn does, right? At the same time, if an engineer was headhunted for even a senior position through LinkedIn. So these are like very common instances that you will find in the real world. If you talk to people around the world, I personally know a great bunch of people who actually got hired, who got their first jobs through LinkedIn. So it's not unheard of. So definitely, if you're not on LinkedIn, this might be the reminder that you should create that profile right now. Having said that, now we are going to move into how you can create a powerful LinkedIn profile. Because creating a profile is one thing, but having having a powerful profile is something else. And just like a resume, you have to think of LinkedIn as your digital resume. It should speak to the recruiters. It should showcase your best skills and what you can do and what you can offer to your new employer. So we'll look into that right now. The very first impression that people will get when they open their profile is the profile picture and the banner image. Your profile photo should be a professional photo. That's common sense. That's a no-brainer because that is your first impression. And normally on LinkedIn, if you go and you see any of these people's profile pictures, you'll see that many of them they actually use professional pictures. Like, people in suits, people are wearing ties, people have, proper clothing, people have proper haircuts, they have professional pictures. And the tips that you can use to ensure that your pictures are good is that make sure that your picture is current. Don't don't post a picture from your year 10. It should be your new latest picture. It should be high resolution. Don't have this pixelated image on LinkedIn. It should clearly show your face. It doesn't have to be like perfectly the same, but it should have a good resolution, high resolution. And at the same time, it should show you in a neutral setting. Like, for example, it shouldn't show you holding a fish over your hand at a fishing trip. That doesn't sound that professional. But it could be you just wearing your suit, could be wearing your shirt or something, but it should be in a neutral professional setting, in a neutral background. To give you a bunch of examples, it could be these ones, for example. So on the first picture, you can't really see the face of the lady. So therefore, remember to look directly at the camera, be professional, and do it in a good lighting. Uh, and the same example on the second one, it's not Instagram, so you don't really have to post your entire picture. You only need to have your face picture, or around the picture around the face. That's the most important part. Like like the actors, they use those face shots, for example. Think of it that way, and that's the very first thing that people look at when they open your profile. So make sure that it's good, it's high resolution, and it follows the tips that's shown here. And also use common sense. To be honest, when you look at a picture, think to yourself as a recruiter. Should I, like, if I was to open this profile and if I was to look at this picture, would I consider this person to be a professional person, or would I consider this person to be a non-professional person? Uh, and 90% of the times, people can answer that question on their own by looking at the picture, to be very honest. And like I said, use common sense and use the different examples that you may see on LinkedIn. Uh, Look up the people that you know in your company. For example, especially if you look at people in more management positions, they tend to be very critical about the pictures that they post. So they tend to be very good role models on how you should be uploading your picture. And at the same time, because and then in LinkedIn, you have your profile picture, but then you also have a banner image, just like Facebook, for example. Now, the banner image is just as important as your profile picture. You could use that for your personal branding. You could use that to, put a picture, like if you're a chemical engineer, for example, you could put a banner image of a refinery. You could put it, if you are working in biorefinery, for example, you could use the banner image to show something relevant to biorefinery. Because the idea is that when someone opens up your profile, they look at the banner image, they would directly get an idea of what it is that you're working in, or what it is that is the most relevant for you. Don't post a picture of you sitting at the beach, for example. That's not relevant. But if you're working in, for example, oil and gas, you could use some sort of a refinery picture as your banner image. Or even if not, you can even use different pictures of yourself, maybe like cascaded together, showing you at work. If you have been working in the oil and gas, if you've been working in a refinery, you could use that picture as well. That would directly show, your actual hands-on experience on that. So, for example, if someone is a marketing professional, then they can use a creative element, but like marketing icons or a dynamic workspace. Uh, like I said, so technical professionals, they can opt for a sleek, modern background, like a tech conference or a coding symbol. Many times, I have seen a lot of people, they use conference pictures that they attended. Many times, people even use the banner image in form of them showing them getting a prize. For example, if you were at a webinar, or if you were at a conference, or you won a prize, a professional prize, or if you got a certificate, or something in that manner. So always remember that your profile picture and your banner image, they are the first profession, that they are the first impression that anyone will get when they open their profile. So do make sure that they are professionals, that they are professional, that they are relevant, and that they are, appealing to the person, appealing to the recruiter, I meant. So that was the first part. But then moving into, and the second thing that the people will look at on your profile is actually your headline and the summary that you write on your profile. The headline is actually much more important than the summary, because as if you are a normal user of LinkedIn, you'll see that when you get the recommended profiles on your page, you only see the profile picture, you see the name, and you see the headline. There is no way for me to know that you are a chemical engineer unless you mention it in your headline. I have no clue of knowing that you work as a process engineer, or that you are an expert in software development, or that you are a PhD researcher, unless you mention it on in your headline. And you have to make your headline as appealing as possible, appealing for me to click on your profile and then read more about your profile. So that's very important, because your headline is the selling point, is your elevator pitch kind of on LinkedIn platform. And to give you an example, it could be, for example, in the first example, instead of just simply writing software developer, it's a very basic title, it's a very basic thing, doesn't really give much away. You could try something like experienced software developer specializing in AI and machine learning. You know, so Obviously, it's longer, it's better, it summarizes exactly what it is that you're working with. So if I am a person that happened to see your name and your headline and I'm interested in AI, I would I would, obviously click on your profile to learn more about it. But on the other hand, if you simply write software developer, I have no clue of knowing that what exactly do you work with? Do you work with, I don't know, gaming? Do you work in, normal software developing? Do you work with AI? Do you work with something else or what? So that's the idea behind it. The same goes for chemical engineers. You could, instead of just simply writing chemical engineering or chemical engineer, you could obviously write process engineer specializing in environmental engineering, or a process engineer with specialties in oil refinery, something like that. It could be your job title and your specialization. It could be your job title, or it could be your job title and the company name as well. If you would rather use that, it could also be something that it could also be your job title, your specialization, and also you could even write your education at the top. Like for example, if you're a young graduate, for example, you don't really have a title, you could just write like an MS chemical engineer looking for oil and gas opportunities, for example. So for a recruiter, it would directly, let them know that, okay, so this guy has the qualification, this guy is looking for opportunities within the oil and gas. So that's like how you would sell your profile to the person that's just looking through. And then coming down to the summary of your profile. Now your summary should showcase everything about your profile. It should show your skills, your experience, and your career goals. And now the best way to write a summary is that when you write the paragraph, it should have these three aspects to it. You should start off with your introduction, and then in the middle, you should go into your key skills and your achievements, and then you should end the paragraph with your career goals. So a good summary should have these three aspects in the paragraph. So, like I said, a good summary should have these three aspects in your summary paragraph. And to give you an example, let's have a look at this paragraph. As a seasoned software developer with over 8 years of experience in AI and machine learning, I have successfully led multiple projects that improved efficiency and reduced costs by 20%. I am passionate about leveraging cutting-edge technology to solve real-world problems, and I'm currently seeking opportunities where I can contribute to innovative tech solutions and advance my career in AI development. That's a very good summary. It's short, it's crisp, and it describes everything the person has been doing. Now let's dissect that into exactly what it is that the person is trying to tell the person, the recruiter. The very first part, that will be your introduction. Who you are, what it is that you're working with, what is your basic experience as a seasoned software developer with over 8 years of experience in AI and machine learning. From that one sentence, I now know that this person is a software developer, been working for 8 years, and his specialty is AI and machine learning. That's perfect. You see one sentence and you get that out of the system. And then you describe the achievements that you have had in your previous job or in your previous career. I have successfully led multiple projects that improved efficiency and reduced costs by 20%. Now, obviously, it can be a bit longer if you have had more achievements, but the main thing is you have to quantify your achievements and you have to summarize your achievements. And at the same time, it needs to be high impacting, right? So now if you are a person, if you are a recruiter reading this summary, you now know that this guy in the past 8 years, his specialty it was in AI and machine learning. The guy has management experience and he was able to achieve multiple results for the company. And then finally, in the very last end of the paragraph, you now have what you're looking for in your career. And now you know that this guy is passionate about cutting edge technology and he wants to solve real world problems. And what it is that the guy is looking for, well, he's seeking opportunities where he can contribute to innovative tech solutions and advance his career in AI development. So that's like a very crisp summary that you can use on your LinkedIn profile. And you can write it, and anyone that's reading it knows three things about you now. He knows who you are, what you have been doing, and what was your past experience, what are your past achievements, and finally, what it is that you are trying to achieve, or what it is that you're looking for in your future. That is very important. Now, obviously, you also have that section in your resumes, in your CVs, but remember that that section tends to be very small. Therefore, you only have limited space. In LinkedIn, on the other hand, luckily, you actually have much more space to write this summary. So don't feel that your summary should be very short and very concise. Obviously, if you have had more experience, if you would like to add more words to it, feel free to do so. If you have had more experiences, I have also seen many times that people try to break down their summary in terms of the past experiences. So if you have worked as a QA engineer, if you have worked as a procurement analyst, then you can just go and create one paragraph for the QA role, one paragraph for the other job role, and one paragraph for the third job role that you have had. In that way, you create small paragraphs describing everything that you have been doing. But the most important part is that do not go overboard in your summary section. Don't feel that you have to describe everything that you have been doing. This is kind of like the bird view of who you are and what it is that you have worked with. For specifics about your different job titles and different job roles, that's where you have your industrial experience right underneath. So therefore, keep in mind the summary should be, it should be. I wouldn't use the word concise, but it should be targeted in this manner that it should introduce you, it should show your key achievements, it should show your past experience, and it should highlight what it is that you're looking for in the future for your career. As long as you have these three things, and as long as the recruiter or any other person that's looking at your profile can get that piece of information from your summary, you have done a good job. But if you write a 1,000-word summary describing every little thing that you have done in the past, but it doesn't give away these three pieces of information, then, quite frankly, it's not going to help you that much. So now coming down to the actual part of your LinkedIn profile, and that is your work experience. Now, your work experience is the bread and butter of your LinkedIn profile. Obviously, anyone that is coming to your LinkedIn profile, they are coming there to have a look at your work experience, what it is that you have been doing before, what it is that you're doing now, what are the responsibilities that you had in different job titles, and so on and so on. So the very first thing that you need to do for your work experience is that you need to incorporate relevant keywords. For example, if you have been, and it really depends on your career goal. If you are looking for an opportunity as a process engineer, for example, then you must use the keywords that are relevant for process engineering. Even if you were not working as a process engineer in your previous role, try to associate those keywords that are relevant for process engineer and try to put them in the responsibilities that you had in your previous job. Like, to give you a very good example, could be that imagine that you were working in procurement as an analyst or something, and now you would like to make a jump to a process engineering position. Data analysis, that's one thing that is common between procurement and process engineering. You could always incorporate keywords relevant for data analysis, data cleaning, or something like that, and then you could try to incorporate that and then highlight it, that is the experience that you have had in your previous job. That's one way to do it. And then the second thing is that you should have detailed descriptions of your job. Clearly outline your responsibilities and contribution in each role, and you should focus on measurable achievements if you can. Like, you have to quantify your achievements. Don't just write a sentence that I led a team of and improved the efficiency of my production. No, a better sentence could obviously be that I led a team of 8 people, which led and we've worked on improving the efficiency of our production. We reduced the waste by 10% through different initiatives or whatnot, something like that. The more you quantify, the more appealing it is to the recruiter, and then you have like something to bite on, instead of just writing something very general. And then finally, like I said, you have to quantify your achievements. That's the most important part, and that is one piece of advice that I've heard from every recruiter that I've talked to, is that you have to quantify your achievement when you're writing your resume or when you're setting up your LinkedIn profile. Just like I said, so just like I mentioned earlier, that if you are a marketing professional, you could use something like increased 15% through our targeting marketing campaigns, and reduce the operational cost by 20% by optimizing supply chain process. So these are like very common examples. And if you look for it, you'll always be able to quantify your achievements at the workplace. Especially if you are, regardless of what you're working in, you can easily quantify everything that you've been doing. And then to give one example, like I said, just like I mentioned earlier, so instead of saying responsible for managing a team, that's that's a good sentence, to be honest. It more or less describes what you were doing. You were responsible for managing a team. That's it. But it doesn't really give much away to the recruiter. It doesn't really show what exactly it is that you were doing. So instead of writing the generic statement, you could write something like, led a team of 10 software developers implementing agile methodologies to deliver 5 major projects on time and within budget, resulting in a 30% increase in productivity. Now you must ask yourself, right, that the second sentence is definitely much better than the first one. Now the funny thing is that a lot of times I have seen that many people, they end up doing a lot more work, they have a lot more achievements, but they don't quantify it in their resumes. In comparison, someone that is willing to quantify it, they are most definitely going to get the job. Because they are showcasing exactly on paper, on the profile, what they did and what were the results that they have achieved. So try to focus on that, try to quantify it, and try to describe exactly what you were doing at the workplace. And for you, I have one more example. So like, instead of saying responsible for improving manufacturing processes and ensuring efficiency. And again, it describes perfectly what an engineer might be doing in the production site. But instead of writing that, you could write something like improve the manufacturing processes by implementing Lean Six Sigma methodologies, resulting in a 25% reduction in the production cycle time and a 15% decrease in material waste. Now, once again, if you ask yourself, if you are a recruiter and you look at these two sentences in two different resumes, you have to ask yourself which is the person that you would pick. So try to be the person that you would pick in a recruitment selection process. So try to use keywords. That's the first part. So like I said, to summarize, in order for you to write a good work experience section, remember to use keywords, good keywords that are relevant for the job that you're applying for. And one more trick that I have found is that you could, like, for example, let's say that you are looking to change your career into process engineering, right? Like I said in the very beginning, on LinkedIn, you can find thousands and thousands of process engineers. Uh, let's say that you're interested in working in the pharma sector. You are interested in working in environmental monitoring, for example, right? As a process engineer, you go to the search bar, you search for these keywords, you try to find 5, 10 profiles of people that are actually working in that role that you'd like to apply for. So you can come across a profile of a process engineer that is working in the pharma sector and is working in the position that you're willing to apply for. Even better, if you know what company you would like to apply for, try to find the people in that company. Try to find their profiles, read their profiles, and then try to use the keywords that they are using for their job section. For example, you'll find that one person, a process engineer, has written a great deal about Lean Six Sigma, for example, right? Then try to relate those keywords with the experience that you have in hand. And then you can try to link the two together. Because that is essentially the benefit of LinkedIn, right? That you are looking at the other people's profiles, you're looking at the people that are already where you want to go. So try to make use of that. Try to use their experiences for your benefit. Try to use their profiles for your benefit. And that's one way to use to figure out the keywords. on what keywords are relevant, what keywords are important, and what keywords are in demand right now. And then, and one more thing I would add, which I forgot to mention, is that do not write paragraphs under your job title. On LinkedIn, it's always a good idea to write bullet points. The bullet points, like I said, should quantify the different things that you have been doing. Unless you did volunteering experience, for example, in that case, you could write a short paragraph describing what you did and what you learned from it. But for the job titles, try to use bullet points. Do not use too many bullet points. Don't write 10 bullet points, Try to figure out if you can merge a few bullet points together, do that. And each bullet point should be a very well written, quantified bullet point. It should directly show the recruiter what it is that you were doing and what was it that you achieved in that role. So these are the main tips that you can obviously use when you're setting up the work experience section in LinkedIn. So the next thing that we're going to look at is your skills and endorsements. Recently, there was a new update on LinkedIn where you can actually add different skills as well, right below your work experience. And even then, if I'm not wrong, you can even now add skills to the different work job titles that you actually have. So if you are working as a process engineer, then you can specifically add, I believe, 5 skills for that job title. And the same goes for the next one, and the same goes for the next one. And the endorsement is something that you get from your other, network, from your friends, from your professors, from your managers, and they can go in and they can endorse you for the skill that you're good at. There. So the very first thing is that find the relevant skills. Don't use like very basic skills because if the place is limited, then you have to make the best of it. If you can only write 5 skills, I believe it's 5 or it's 3, I'm not sure, but you can write a short number of skills for your job title. And therefore, try to pin the best skills that you're best at and the most relevant for what it is that you're looking for, or for what it is that you're looking for your career. Okay, so yeah, sorry. So there are 3 skills that you can pin to the top of your profile, and they should best represent your expertise. For example, if you are working as a quality engineer, right? Then document management, regulatory compliance, and team management. These 3 could be the skills that you could easily add up. If you are looking for managerial positions in the future, then obviously you should write stakeholder management, project management, and obviously document management, for example. To give you a very basic example. If you are a marketing professional, for example, as SEO, content marketing, data analysis. For a process engineer, it could be something like process improvement, data analysis, and project management. But the thing is, there is no one shoe that fits everyone, right? Because it really depends on what it is that you're trying to get out of your LinkedIn profile. Like I said earlier, if you are applying for a managerial position, then you should choose to highlight the skills that are relevant for the future position. If you're looking for moving into maybe some other role in process engineering, try to find the keywords or the skills that are relevant for that specific position. So don't just copy paste the skills based on just because some other guy wrote it, so I'm going to paste it as well. Nope. Try to link it with what it is that you're trying to achieve or what it is that you're trying to get out of your LinkedIn profile, basically, right? So that's the first part. But essentially, if you scroll down on LinkedIn, there's also a skills section, and there you can add much more skills. You can add like, I think, 50 skills or something. And again, don't waste any place for a skill that is not relevant. Even though you can add 50, they all should be very, very relevant to what it is that you have done and what it is that you're trying to apply for. Because many times recruiters, they can also, because you'll see that sometimes if you are applying for a job on LinkedIn, you can actually look at this. They also provide the most relevant skills for this job. And then if you have those skills on your profile, then LinkedIn actually tells you that your profile is very relevant for this job position. So therefore, keep in mind that these skills are not just random skills that you put on, but they should be the ones that are very, very relevant for the job that you're applying for. And then coming down to the endorsements, the very first step is that you should get endorsements. And it's very obviously, it's sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's difficult. You should reach out to your colleagues, to your mentors, to your supervisors, and ask them to endorse you for different skills on LinkedIn. The reason the endorsements are very important is because if someone is endorsing you for data analysis skills, and if I was to go and open your profile, it's very credible to me, right? It showcases that this person didn't just randomly write data analysis, but this guy actually has been endorsed by someone. That means that this guy is actually very good in data analysis. So let's compare two guys, right? One guy has written data analysis and the other guy has an endorsement for the skill. Obviously, the second guy is more credible than the first guy. So therefore, endorsements, they actually go a long way. And if they're coming from your manager, your supervisor, your mentor, it goes even longer because that is coming from someone from a position of authority, someone a position of someone that has evaluated your work. So that then it's much better. So try to always ask your managers and don't be shy about it, because many people they tend to be quite shy to ask their managers or mentors if they could just kindly endorse me on LinkedIn. But don't be shy because one manager that you have may only be with you for 2-4 years, but your LinkedIn profile and your career is going to go for the next 30-40 years. So having one endorsement is from your manager goes a long way. If not today, maybe in 5 years time or maybe in 2 years time, it would mean a lot for your next job. But it should be a process of give and take. So for example, if you have your friends, your classmates, your colleagues, if you have to ask them to give you endorsements, it's much better if you also endorse them for the skills that they're good at. Because obviously, if you just walk around asking people to endorse you and you don't endorse them in return, obviously, it's going to be a bit awkward on your end. But on the other hand, it also happens that if you endorse someone on LinkedIn, 90% of the time they will endorse you back on LinkedIn. Just like poke on Facebook. If you poke someone, they poke you back. So it's the same on LinkedIn. If you give endorsements, you will definitely get endorsements back. Yep. So moving on, the next thing is your education. Your education is very important, right? So the very first thing is that you should list your education properly in what do you call it, in alphabetical, not alphabetical order, but in the order that you achieved it. So you have for example, if you have done all of your degrees, put them up. It's much easier now on LinkedIn because you can actually choose your university, you can write the degree, you can choose the specialization now. So it becomes very official. You get one section for your education. And do not write too much unnecessary information in the description for your degree. It should, again, be very concise, very relevant to what it is that you're trying to show the recruiters. It could be some of the achievements that you have done. For example, if you were captain of the football team, you should put that up. You can put that up. There's nothing wrong about it. If you were the captain of the debate team, for example, you should also put that up. And again, if you have any academic achievements, to put that up as well. But remember to describe in very short words what was it that you majored in, if you did major in something. Like for example, to give an example, when I did my degree in chemical engineering, I did my bachelor's and master's in chemical engineering, but I ended up specializing in process engineering and environmental and energy engineering. So therefore, your degree title may not give that away. So therefore, it's a good idea to write that in the description. And the very first line should be that I did my degree in chemical engineering, but I chose to specialize in, blah, blah, blah. The benefit is that obviously if someone is if you're looking to work in oil and gas and you specialized in oil and gas petroleum engineering in your degree, you should put that up in that field, because that's the piece of information that will be relevant for the recruiter to make the final decision. At the same time, if you have done any relevant courses or relevant projects, also put them up on the LinkedIn profile. Uh, there is actually a separate section that is the relevant for your courses and for the projects. But one more thing I might add, that regarding your degrees, sometimes some people they suggest that you should only put up your professional degrees. That means that you should set up your bachelor's and your master's and your PhD and whatnot. Sometimes some people they also suggest that you can put up your high school degree as well, or a high school diploma as well. uh, your high school diploma as well. Now, there are both pros and cons to it. But obviously, if you were the valedictorian of your high school, then there's no harm in putting it up. If you did something very exceptional in high school, you should put that up. If you did something, if your high school was different to the majority of the people in the country, you should put that up. It's not a requirement. And again, like I said, it's a 50-50. Some people do it, some people they don't. Some people they are very proud of the high school they went to. So it's a good idea. So they write it up. Some people they have exceptional achievements in high school. Like for example, they were in debate team or they were in chess club or whatnot. So they tend to write it up. There's no harm in writing it up. So but I have seen negative connotations regarding putting up your secondary school diploma because that's not relevant. If you're applying to be a process engineer, I don't think anyone is really going to care what school you went to or what classes you went to. So high school, if you want to, but obviously your bachelor's, your master's, your PhD, they have to be there in the education section. And again, if you also have any of the uh, if you have any online courses that you took, for example, sometimes some people they put that up in the education section. Uh, if you took for example, an evening course at a university in your country, in your city, obviously put that up under the education section. But if you took a 2 days course or a 1 day course, don't put that up in the education section. Put that up in the course section or in the project section. So you have to keep in mind that you're not supposed to put everything in the education. Like, for example, if you attended this webinar, don't put that up in the education section, even if you got a certificate for it. You should put that up in the project section or in your volunteer work or whatever the case may be. But then coming down to the courses and the projects, then you should highlight the specific courses and the projects or the research projects that you have been working on. The important part is that no one really cares what project you were part of. No one really cares what project you actually did. What people do care about is that what it is that you learned from that project and what was it that you achieved in that project. For example, let's say that you did a research project where you designed a production facility for the production of methanol, as a chemical engineer. No one's going to care about what you did or what was it that you uh, you know for example, like how you did it or what was the outcomes and whatnot. But the most important part is that you describe, again, quantify firstly what you learned from that project and what were the outcomes of that project. You learned how to set up the production facility. You learned a great deal about how to simulate the processes in Aspen. You learned about how to perform techno-economic analysis, for example. And the outcome could be that you were able to design a production facility and you were able to reduce the waste cost by 25% by performing optimization calculations. And that is what is most relevant for the people. So by doing so, you can tell the recruiter that you have now experienced hands-on experience with Aspen, with techno-economic analysis, with Excel, with the equipment sizing and whatnot. So that's what's relevant. Don't get too hooked up on describing the project on your profile. That's not important. But what you learned and what were the outcome, that's much more important. Now, to give you an example, is that you could write something like this, right? You could write your uh, Bachelor of Science in Engineering, University of Dublin, and the year that you graduated from. Graduated with honors, Dean's List, led a capstone project on sustainable chemical processes. Short, concise, crisp, and describes exactly all the achievements that someone did in the high school, in the university. And the same goes for if you did your master's. Then, like I said earlier, you write the title, you write the college name, and then you describe that what it is that you specialized in, and so that the person could know that, okay, this guy actually did something in this area, and that's what he should be working on. That was the education section. Now, moving on to the recommendations and accomplishments. Now, it is possible for you to actually upload recommendations on your job title in LinkedIn. It helps a lot of times, because what happens is that if you have a job title, then you have your recommendation. The recruiters can download it directly from the website or read it directly from there. So they don't have to ask you for the recommendation. That's a very, very, very neat way the LinkedIn has set it up. So the very first thing is that how would you request and display recommendations? Ask for recommendation, obviously, no brainer. Ask your supervisor, your mentor, your clients, even if you are a what do you call it? If you're working, like blanking on the word there, but if you are like the person that works with different clients, then you can actually do that. Consultant, for example, if you are a part-time free consultant, then you have clients, you can do that. And then most importantly is that for majority of the people, it will be your manager's recommendation that goes a long way. Your supervisor, your professor, your mentor as well. But your colleague's recommendation also is very good to have, but having your manager's recommendation goes a long way, obviously, because that is the person that is, again, like I said earlier, is the person that would be evaluating your work. So therefore, their recommendation is actually much more important or much more beneficial if you are, uploading it on LinkedIn. And then personalize your request, obviously. For example, what happens is that some people, they are very direct about asking for a recommendation, and they just send a 2-line email saying that, could you please write a recommendation for me since I'm leaving the company? Sure, you could do that. Sometimes the managers are very kind, they're very nice, and they could help you out. But sometimes if you're using the same generic email to like 10 different people, the probability is that you won't get much of a response. So therefore, when you're writing up that email, or when you're writing up the request, make sure that you tailor it to different people. The trick that tends to do the job is that in the beginning of the email, you send in your request. In the second part of the email, then you actually describe one very important aspect of the job that you felt was most relevant for that person. And then you could speak to something like, oh, hey, I really enjoyed working on the project with you. Would you be so kind to write the recommendation that would highlight, my work and my work and my outcomes, and don't be shy away again from writing that why you need the recommendation. Like it could be that I'm looking for more clients, and your review or your recommendation would go a long way. So great. If you're writing up to your manager, don't ask for a recommendation from your manager while you're still working at the company. uh, Always ask for the recommendation when you're leaving the company, because if you ask it during while you're working, you may give the impression that you're looking for another job. So normally people ask for recommendations once they are leaving the company from your ex-manager. I have seen people make that mistake, just asking their current manager for recommendations, even though they're not even looking for a new job. And the managers do get suspicious, asking like, oh, is this guy actually looking for new jobs? So don't do that. Be careful, be considerate in that manner. And then once you have your recommendations, you should showcase them on your profile. The most visible ones, and obviously, um, it could be that, let's say that as a student you were working at a bar as a bartender, and you got a recommendation for that. But then after graduating, you worked as a junior process engineer, and you got the recommendation for that as well. There's no harm in putting both of them on your LinkedIn profile, but obviously try to bring the focus on the one that you had from your junior process engineering position, because that is the one that will be the most relevant for your future jobs. If you're aiming to get your next job as a process engineer, Obviously, if you are planning to work as a bartender next, then then that recommendation would be the most relevant. So, so even though gathering the recommendation is one thing, then showcasing them on your profile, that's another thing. Great. And then we have our accomplishments. And accomplishments are obviously accomplishments that you have achieved both in your personal life and your professional life. And the one thing that I was told by one recruiter was that there is no such thing as a non-relevant accomplishment. Every accomplishment counts. So don't shy away from don't writing an accomplishment saying that, oh, this might not be relevant. Write everything up. If you did any volunteer work, put that up. If you had any publications, put that up. If you were a very good debater in your university, put that up. If you did some sort of something in your personal life, you should also put that up. If you did something in your professional life, there's no harm in writing it up. No one is going to say that, oh, why did you put that up? It's not going to hurt you in any way, but it actually might end up helping you in one way or another. So therefore, don't shy away from writing up any accomplishments that you have achieved in your life. The first one obviously being the volunteer work. If you have done any type of volunteering work in your free time, put that up. There's actually a section in the bottom where you can actually write up under volunteering work in LinkedIn. So they actually have a separate section only for volunteering. And also most of the time, most of the companies, they do really value volunteer work, especially if you're a young graduate about to graduate. Try to do a lot of volunteering work before you graduate, because that could help you replace the lack of industrial experience that when you're applying for the job. And then, if you have any publications, write them up. If you did a co-authoring of the paper, if you were the first author of the paper, briefly describe what was the paper about and why is it an accomplishment on your end. And finally, if you have any awards and honors, no harm in putting them up on your LinkedIn profile. If you were, like I said, if you were a valedictorian in your high school, if you were on the dean's list, if you were voted as the best teaching assistant, there's no harm in writing it up on the LinkedIn profile. The more you put up, the better. So don't shy away from writing something that you may feel is not relevant, but an accomplishment is an accomplishment. So obviously put that up there. That was all the aspects of building up a LinkedIn profile. But now we're going to look at how you can build a strong network, because building a profile is one thing. You build a profile, and that showcases you to the world. That shows who you are to the recruiters, to the other 300 million people that are on LinkedIn. But then you also need to build a network in LinkedIn, and you have to actually put some work into it, into building it, and then into keeping it up as well. So the tips that you can use on how you can build a network, and the first one is a no-brainer, that you should connect with your like-minded industry professionals. I know it's a very no-brainer, common sense tip, but you should always have strategies to reach out to the people. Nowadays, it's possible to actually add a personalized request. It's like Facebook, right? When you send a friend request to someone, if they know you, they'll add you, but if they don't know you, they might not add you. On LinkedIn, it's very different. You're not gonna know 90% of the people that you end up connecting with, and that's fine. That's fine. That's completely okay. But the most important part is that when you are trying to connect with them, you have to tell them why it is that you're connecting with them. Like you don't just send a random request just to have 1,000 connections on LinkedIn. No, but you should have a reasonable amount of connections, and you should have any relevant connections on your profile. And also a good idea is that when you are sending out these requests, just briefly describe that, oh, hey, I came across your profile. I see that you're working in process engineering industry. Would just love to connect and, follow you and see and ask any questions about the industry. Very, very clearly defined on why you are reaching out to that person. And then if you randomly send in a request majority of the times you will be declined. If you send in a personalized message, there's a much higher chance of it getting accepted and that person connecting with you as well. At the same time, you know, sorry, yep. So that was the first part. And then like this is one example. Like, hey, I noticed that we both work in process engineering, and I was impressed by your recent article on lean methodologies. I would love to connect and learn more about your work, for example. If you're reaching out to someone in your alumni network, just say that, oh, hey, I came across your profile. I saw that we both went to the same university, and I know that you graduated 4 years before me. I would love to connect and take some tips from you. Uh, and again, some people, they shy away from sending this request to people they don't know, but don't. That's the only advice I would give, that do not shy away from sending the request to people you don't know, but rather make it a habit. Try to connect with people that are in the industry, and they are the people who are where you want to go. Uh, you can only learn from the people that have gone the mile where you are just about to begin walking. So therefore, reach out, make a good personalized message, and make sure that you are aligning with what it is that you're writing in the message. Yeah, so that's another example. Like, hey, we met at the conference last year, and I would like to stay in touch and discuss potential collaboration opportunities. And also, I might add that if you go to job fairs or if you go to conferences, make sure that if you meet someone, send in a request on the same day or latest the next day. Obviously, if I met you 6 months ago and you send me a request 6 months after, it may not have the same impact as someone sending the request on the same day. Like, oh, hey, we met this morning, and I'm just connecting with you because so that we can learn more about the topic or whatnot. So keep that in mind. And then the next thing that you can do is that you should engage with the content that shows up on LinkedIn. Now, I know a lot of people, they complain that some people, they use LinkedIn as Facebook or Instagram, where they start sharing a lot of different contents, a lot of different articles, very famously where people write these different stories about how they helped a person in need and whatnot. But uh, sometimes it could be good to engage with the content. What happens is that, for example, if there is some post about chemical engineering, if you comment on it, if you like it, it will be seen by other people who are also following the post. It will be seen by other chemical engineers. It will be seen by other engineering professionals. Most likely, if your comment is there, they would, click on your profile. And if they click on their profile and they see that, oh, this guy actually works in the company that I want to work in, they will connect with you as well. Likewise, if you are looking at a post on LinkedIn, and then you see that if you see a comment from some guy, and then you think to yourself, that's a very intelligent comment, click on their profile and connect with them as well. There's no harm in that. So there are actually two ways how you can, engage with the content. The first one, which I basically just described, is that you like, comment, and share the industry relevant posts. And I'll actually show you the more information on that, is that stay active, obviously, regularly engage with posts related to your industry. Like, don't shy away from liking stuff, and don't write, and I know it tends to be a personal choice, but don't write stupid comments, maybe. I know it's a common sense sort of thing, but you will still be shocked by how about the times people actually write stupid comments on many of the posts that they see on LinkedIn. Don't. You writing a comment on a post that is being seen by thousands of other people, think of it as you giving a point in a meeting at the workplace. You only get one point. It should be a good point. It should be a relevant point, and it should engage the other people. It should convince the other people to reach out to you. It should give off a good impression to the other people that are also seeing that post. Don't use obscene language, for example. Don't use sexist language in the comment section. Many people think that it does not make an effect. It actually does, definitely makes an impact. Uh, Someone that is looking, a possible employer is going to look at that comment. A possible employer might actually see that comment and decide on not hiring you. So be professional on LinkedIn. Keep all of that for Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or whatever that is. So on LinkedIn, try to be professional. Try to think of it as someone who is at the job 24 hours. Everything that you say, everything that you like, everything that you share is being seen by thousands and thousands of other people. Just keep that in mind. And anything can, come back and bite you in the future as well. Just because you wrote a comment 2 years ago, it doesn't get deleted, right? So therefore, be careful. Be careful. That's the only thing that I would say. Because if you are engaging in a positive, professional, intelligent manner, it will cause people to visit your profile and possibly even reach out to you and connect with you. And then, meaningful contribution. That's exactly what I said, right? So you add thoughtful comments. Like, for example, it doesn't even have to be like and don't have like fake comments. Like, don't write like, oh, hey, great work or great article, amazing article. Write a sentence. That's what I would say. Show that you actually read the article. Uh, you know, and maybe try also writing that how it impacted you, for example. Like, oh, hey, great article. I was just looking for information on techno-economic analysis. So thank you for sharing. Uh, Really valuable insights into the process industry. I might use that for my next job search. Just write a sentence. And like I said, thoughtful comments, no hateful comments, no stupid comments, and if you're in doubt, just don't comment. Just like it, share it, and also read the other comments by the other people. Many times it happens is that if there's an article on a life cycle assessment, and then you'll see that a lot of people they start discussing in the comments as well. Like it could be two professors, it could be actually two professionals talking about some key points. That's also a good way to learn about different things. Reach out to those guys, reach out to those people, men, women, anyone that is writing the comments below. Have a look at it, reach out to them, connect with them, learn from them, and that's the entire idea of staying active and using these industry relevant posts on LinkedIn. On the other hand, then the other way that you can engage with the content is that you can publish your own articles and your own posts. Now, there's a great way. Now, LinkedIn has actually made it very easy to write articles and share it with other people. So the articles that you should write, they should be on the topics that you are an expert in, and they should show that you are an expert in that area. Don't write an article on bird watching, for example, if you have never done it in your life. Write the article on the stuff that you know something about. It should showcase your knowledge on it. And once you write it, feel free to share it, send it to different people. If you have for example, some connections that you connected with, if you write an article on life cycle assessment, for example, describing the newest trends or a calculation explanation or whatnot, feel free to share that article directly to the people that you have connected with on LinkedIn for LCA, and then just say that, oh, hey, I recently wrote this article. Would you have any comments on it? Would you have any idea on how I can possibly improve this article? Now, two things happen in that way. Firstly, you are showcasing your own skill, your own expertise to that person. And secondly, since you have connected with that person, you are actually engaging with that person in a positive manner. So that person that would be obliged to reply back to you, and you may end up getting a good mentor from someone that you have never met, maybe someone that lives thousands of miles away from you. But by doing so, you are doing a positive impact through connections. On the other hand, you could also write different posts. Now, a post and article, they're two very different things on LinkedIn. A post is just like when you write on Facebook. A post, you can do that on LinkedIn. You can share everything in a post as well. You can share an external article. You can upload a PDF file. You can upload a poll. You can share a poll, and you can even share, if I'm not wrong, you can also share like a link to any other article that you may have. You can also share your article through a post. Basically, you could summarize you could But the thing about the posts is that, again, it's a bit 50-50, and it really comes down to a personal preference. Some people, they tend to be very active on LinkedIn. They tend to write a lot about their everyday professional life, which you may have seen many times. Some people, they write every little achievement they have had at work. They write about the achievements of their team. They write, a lot of stuff. You have to decide what sort of writer you want to be on LinkedIn. There's nothing wrong in publishing more posts or sharing an insight into your professional life or your personal life and whatnot. But think of it this way, that you decide what sort of person you would like to be seen on LinkedIn. If you are someone who's looking for being seen, you're looking for connections, it's a good idea in the beginning to share posts. Try to look for the things that are most in trend nowadays, and then try to make a post on those. On the other hand, if you are someone who is maybe looking for a more serious tone, a more professional tone, then maybe don't write a post every single day, and every time you do post, it should be regarding a professional topic. Don't write a post about how you finished a marathon last week. Maybe, but instead you could write something about how you managed a project and how you were able to achieve something uh, great, and how your research findings could also benefit many other chemical engineers. That could be a very good post that people could write. I have seen people, they share different Excel functions, for example. That's a very good way of engaging with the people. It's a famous topic, in trend topic. It engages with a lot of people. So there are different ways how you can engage with different people. But I would strongly suggest, do not, if you are a newbie on LinkedIn, don't start writing posts on the first day. Instead, look at what other people are posting. Look at your connections, look at your managers, look at your other people, see what sort of posts they make, what sort of articles they write, assess, look at them, learn from them. And then once you have a very good idea about what sort of posts are relevant for your network, only then should you then start writing your own posts. You don't sit down and write a novel overnight, right? You read first, you read how the other novels are written, you get an idea about what sort of character development you should be done. You should look at what sort of development you should be in the novel, and so on. And then once you have all the knowledge, then you become an author yourself. You don't just become an author overnight. And the same goes for LinkedIn. So keep that in mind. But then the next thing is joining and participating in different groups on LinkedIn. Now, just like Facebook, LinkedIn also has a great deal of groups that you can join in. The very first thing is that you should find and join the groups that are related to your field. There are a great deal of groups on LinkedIn that you can join, and they more or less work just like Facebook or any other area, that you send in a request. If you're added, then you can see all the other admins and the members, and you can engage with them freely. The very first thing is that you have to find the groups, right? And obviously, uh, use the search bar, uh, search for the relevant keywords, search for the groups that are relevant for you, like chemical engineers in finance. That's an actual group on LinkedIn that you can join. Oil and gas professionals, pharmaceuticals, GMP professionals. So there are some groups that are very broad, and there are some groups that are very focused on one topic. Like there could be a group on carbon capture, for example, specifically talking about carbon capture. So you could also do that. You could join them. And when you join them, then it's not merely enough for you to join a group, right? You have to be active in the group. You have to engage in conversations. Because let's say that you join a group that has 100 members. If you join it, and if you are just a silent guy who just joined and is not engaging, there's literally no point of you joining the group. You should engage in the conversations. You should try to ask questions, try to answer questions, try to bring up discussions, try to share your knowledge. And you'll find that, especially the groups on LinkedIn, they're very active. It would be very, very, very rare that you would come across a group that is not very active, where people are not actively sharing information among themselves. And it tends to be very very, how do you say it, like people tend to be very careful, and people tend to be very enthusiastic as well about the information they're sharing. So, you'll find that many people, they are very happy to engage in conversations. And you definitely should be one of those guys as well. Yep. So that was all on how you can engage with the people in on LinkedIn and engage with your network. But then finally, we're going to have a look at the LinkedIn job search features, because LinkedIn offers great deal of job search features that you can make use of and have a more efficient way of applying for jobs. The very first one is that you can use the advanced search filters, uh, customize your search. The mistake that a lot of people make is that they don't customize their search. Instead of, like, for example, instead of merely writing process engineer, for example, even though that itself is actually very good, very focused search, but if you write a process engineer, you will get a hit on people that are process engineers across multiple industries, multiple countries even. So you should search for process engineer, write process engineer pharmaceuticals, process engineer environmental engineering, process engineer oil and gas. And then if you go below, you can then choose the location as well. You could search for people, process engineers in the US, process engineers in Denmark. And then you can go even further, and you can even search for the companies as well. So let's say that you're applying for Shell, right? You could search for process engineer, choose the location to be Denmark, and choose the company to be Shell. And you will get a hit of all process engineers that are working in Denmark in the company Shell. So that's how you should use the advanced search filters. If you just search for chemical engineer, that's not a very good search filter, to be very honest, because writing chemical engineer, you will get all sorts of search hits. You will get a chemical engineer working in, like, what chemical engineer, like chemical engineer in process engineering, product engineering, catalysis, what, so therefore try to pick job titles that are specific and relevant. And then you can actually make use of job alerts as well in LinkedIn, and that is a very good feature. That is a very good feature that you can make use of if you are interested in working for Shell, for example. Then what you can do is that you can go to their page and you can put job alerts for Shell. Every time a job comes up, or every time a relevant job comes up for process engineers, you will get a notification on LinkedIn. And that's very helpful, because so you don't actually have to manually go and search for the jobs, but rather you will actually be notified by LinkedIn. And you will stay updated all the time. Sometimes it gets very annoying because you end up getting 5 notifications every day on your phone saying that, oh, a new job came up. But even then, it's very helpful. It's very helpful. So you should definitely do that. And then normally there are two scenarios on LinkedIn that you may know yourself that now jobs are being posted on LinkedIn. And then there are two ways on how you can apply for the job. Some jobs you can apply directly through LinkedIn, through something, the easy apply feature, which is very nice. You just basically click apply, and I think your profile gets shared with the recruiter. Sometimes they ask you to upload a CV in the next step, and that's it. That's all you have to do. You press apply and you upload the CV, or you share your profile, and that's it. And then you applied for the position. Most of the time, it normally happens for, like smaller companies. Uh, you wouldn't see an easy apply feature for major companies, like not for like Fortune 500 companies. They would normally take you to their website, and then you would have to apply through their website. But even then, it's for the companies that it's possible, it's very helpful. And it makes your life a lot easier. At the same time, the only downside of applying through LinkedIn sometimes tends to be that you cannot tailor your application. So therefore, what you should do is that if you're applying for the job, let's say that you're working as a process engineer right now, but you would like to apply to be a product engineer, then you would actually have to tailor your entire LinkedIn profile to fit into the next position that you're applying for. In comparison to if you were applying with a resume, you would only have to update one resume, and that you could keep 5 resumes at the same time with different job titles. But on LinkedIn, you can only streamline your profile to one area at a time. Um, you could obviously do it like 50-50. You could always keep your CV or your profile on LinkedIn at a Burview level. You keep it relevant to both process engineers, product engineers, if that's the area that you want to work in, you know. But that is one downside that I personally feel sometimes, that you can't change your profile for one job title, and then the next day you can't change it back to being a process engineer or a product engineer. But even then, I think the easy apply feature, it's still very helpful, because you don't necessarily have to then go to their website, go through their entire process of filling out the information, uploading the CV, and then doing all that. You could apply for a job in less than 5 minutes by the help of the easy apply feature. So that's the good thing. And then obviously, you should network for job opportunities. It's actually very nice sometimes that if you are applying for a job, if you are, for example, if a job comes up at Shell and you open up their page, LinkedIn actually tells you that 4 of your connections, they are working in this company. And then you could reach out to those guys or women, and then you can ask them like, hey, I saw on LinkedIn that there is a position in your department actually, and would you be kind enough to tell me if I'm a great fit, or would you be willing to give me some insight so that I can prepare my resume? It happens. You'll be amazed how many people actually got the job through this manner. I personally know a great deal of guys who did this route, and they got the job right after, because it's just a matter of asking. And like I said, and I've said it ample times during the webinar, don't be shy. Don't be afraid, because what's the worst that can happen? They'll say no, and you'll be like, fine. You're gonna apply for the job anyway. So you have the skill, you have the resume, you have everything. If they say no, then you just go ahead with what you were going to do before. If they say yes, though, you have a little bit more information in hand to apply for the job. So don't shy away from it. And then, and like I said, you can even ask for referrals sometimes. If you see someone working in the same company that you're applying for, just reach out to them and say that, oh, hey, I saw that you're working at the company. Would you be willing to be a referral for me for the job? Again, you never know. You never know, the next guy might say yes. So it's just a matter of taking the first step, basically. And that was all for the job search and for the profile and everything. In the very end, I'm just very quickly going to touch the LinkedIn Premium. In case you don't know, on LinkedIn, you can actually buy the LinkedIn Premium as well. And again, it's a personal choice. I have been using LinkedIn without the premium for a very long time, and then I recently got the premium one. And then but I felt like I should describe it here, that there are certain benefits that you can make use of from the premium. The very first one, obviously, being that you can uh, you can you can send a mail to the people even if you're not connected with them directly. You can't do that on the free version of LinkedIn. But if you have the premium one, they call it in-mail messaging. So you can actually directly send a mail to a recruiter, to a manager, on what the case may be. It gives you a higher chance of connecting with the people. Then you can even get certification badges. They have a few courses on LinkedIn. If you finish them, you get different badges that you can make use of. Again, it validates your skills and so on. If you are, and the funny thing is that if you're applying for a job on LinkedIn, if you have a free version, it doesn't tell you sometimes if you are a good fit for the job. If you have a premium version, it actually tells you how you compare to the other applicants who have applied for the job. I'm not going to say that this is a deal breaker. I'm not going to say that this is something that would definitely get you the job, but sometimes it's, I guess, knowing is better than not knowing. So for some people, it tends to be like a very good option. For some people, they don't really care that much. So again, it's a personal option. You can do advanced search filters. If you have a premium version, you can actually specifically search for salary range, company size, and job function. I wouldn't necessarily say that if you don't have premium, you're not going to be able to search. You still have the option. It just doesn't affect that much. The only problem is that you can only make a certain amount of searches per month on the free profile. With the premium version, though, you can actually do as many searches as you like, and you can open as many profiles as you like. That only tends to be a bit annoying at times. For example, especially if you are, let's say, if you are working on a project and you have to reach out to, and you're trying to find someone, it really runs out very quickly, and now you have to wait one more month to be able to do the searches again. That tends to be a bit annoying. But for the premium version, then you can just search as many times as you like. And then actually on the premium version, you can see all the people that have viewed your profile. I believe that it goes back to 90 days. And if I'm not wrong, I might be wrong, but I think you can also see the people who viewed your profile even if they were in private mode, if I'm not mistaken. I think you can view their title or the industry they were from, if I'm not wrong. But the main part is that in the free version, you can only see a certain amount of the people that viewed your profile. But the premium version, you can go back to 90 days or something. So if you're interested in knowing the people who have been looking at your profile, then yeah, premium is very good. But if you're someone like me who doesn't really care that much about the people that are viewing your profile, then the free version is also good enough. And then obviously, you have access to the professional skill development, leadership, and knowledge that you can make use of. Again, it's like it's very much like the certifications or the courses that they offer. And finally, you can get the salary insights nowadays. I must admit, I have not personally utilized that function in LinkedIn, but I guess sometimes it could be very helpful if you are looking for salary negotiations in your interview or something. Then yeah, then it could be a very good option. Otherwise, um, you could also get that information from the other website. I forgot the name of it now. The other website where you can easily find the information on salaries. I am blanking on the name, but there's another website that you can make use of. But anyhow, but like I said, buying, because you have to buy the premium, and I wouldn't say that is cheap. I think it takes good effect on your pocket. It makes sense for people who are extensively active on LinkedIn. That I might say. People who are making a livelihood on LinkedIn, people who are getting clients on LinkedIn, people who are, extensively active on LinkedIn. If someone is not that active on LinkedIn, someone who's only using LinkedIn for, making their profile, hopefully for the recruiters to catch an eye, then I guess the premium is like an overkill. But maybe if someone who is about to apply for jobs, it might be good to get the premium for a month or two. You can get the premium for free for 1 month. Uh, I think it's 1 month or 2 months or something like that. But you get a grace period. So that tends to be very nice. So you can make use of that. But other than that, I would say that it's your own personal choice if you want to buy the premium or not. It tends to be a good idea to make use of the free version, a free choice. I mean, like make use of the premium for free for the month, and then you can directly see that if it makes sense for you or not. If it makes sense, sure. If it doesn't make sense, free LinkedIn is still very good LinkedIn. So that was actually all that I had for today's webinar. So if anyone and also, thank you so very much for joining the webinar today, but also do stay tuned for the other webinars regarding job search in collaboration with JobMink Consulting. And you can visit our website at www.ChemEnggLife.com, where you can sign up for all the other webinars that we are hosting. At the same time, you can also get in touch with the team of JobMink if you have any questions or you would like to make use of their services for your job search. Great. Thank you so very much for attending, and I hope you all have a lovely day ahead, and hopefully looking forward to seeing you in our future webinars. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.